Toyota. Oh. A marvelous good afternoon to everybody. Schönen guten Tag allen da draußen. Because I chatted such a lot last time that I missed many of the points I think would have been helpful to mention about studying and building stamina. I did my homework and made a proper list so I can touch upon all the subjects that might be interesting for anybody studying. Weil ich vorige Woche so viel gelabert habe über das Thema Studieren und Ausdauer aufbauen, habe ich heute eine Liste, damit ich nichts verpasse. Allora, just to summarize, last week we talked quickly about going through the wall to keep going when you are tired. Singing and making music is something that is active. It is just like doing sport. Der sportliche Aspekt vom Singen bitte nie vergessen. We also touched upon your repertoire choice while training and studying. Here I made a little list so I can give you the short version of what went walla 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 last week. Always have the repertoire ready that is one, urgent to study, something that you need to freshen up, and thirdly, something that you like or will amuse you, so that as you get tired studying, say, just the urgent thing, you can switch gears and go into the next stack of repertoire. Gangwechsel beim Studieren hilfreich bei Repertoirewahl, wenn man übt oder trainiert. Ausdauer. 3 Stufen oder 3 Einteilungen von Repertoire schlage ich vor. Erstens, alles was sehr dringend ist, da hat man sowieso mehr Adrenalin. Das Zeug, was man auffrischen soll, schon aufgeführt hat oder schon lange kennt. Und drittens, etwas, was einem amüsiert bzw. reizt, damit man während des Studiums oder während man so entspannt übt, Gangwechsel machen kann zwischen diese 3 Stufen von wie dringend ist das Repertoire. Now, something very practical. If you are studying music, I always read about studying as well. I think it's lazy because we all hope that we will read about something that will help you study more quickly. There are some tricks, but basically we are all going to invest a lot of time in studying. But one thing I did read about and have been applying for a long time is never to repeat exactly the same phrase more than twice. Say you are singing pa 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 pa, and exactly there it dies. If you now keep on repeating exactly the same phrase and probably making exactly the same mistake, your brain will have the panic reaction and your brain will remember, oh, there's something difficult. Very easy, according to the clever people, I've tried it, is to make sure that after you've repeated a phrase twice, to either go back further, sing a longer bit, work on a longer stretch of the music, start closer to the problem point and keep on working longer. Don't dig your own grave, I think is the way to remember this. Auf Deutsch auch, weil ich habe gesagt, wir machen das alles auf Englisch, Deutsch und Denglisch. Nie beim Üben oder Studieren dieselbe Phrase mehr als 2-mal wiederholen. Damit überzeugst du dich selber, dass genau diese Phrase schwierig ist. Sehr leicht das Problem zu entfernen, indem du mal ein bisschen mehr vorher nimmst und näher am Problem anfängst und ein bisschen weiter arbeitest in der Musik. Now, for singers especially, I learned about this method of training first when I was working with people who sang mostly Verdi, but having worked with singers for such a long time, I have been able to help many singers train the voices more easily by training the breathing of your intentions. Now, I have as a practical example, say you're singing Aida and there are exactly 1, 2, 3, 4 bars before you have to breathe and take an F in a dolce kind of piano, make a 3-minute crescendo, decrescendo without losing the intonation or going haywire into very small. 4 Takte hat man vorzubereiten. Now, what I learned from the Verdi way of training is one needs to train the breath. For example, where instead of passively waiting for 4 bars, you breathe in for 1 bar, for example, breathe out for another bar. The 3rd bar you use to get the body awake, and then you take a breath over the whole bar so that that F is clean. Let me do it for you. There are 4 bars. So this is the bar of breathing in slowly. Langsam einatmen, einatmen und ausatmen. Und dann lächeln, 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 lächeln. And then one big breath so that you land on this one note and can do with it. So, even if you don't play the piano, I really suggest that for your training, you don't just go sing. You breathe the actual energy that's going to come from the orchestra or the piano before you sing, because at the end of the day, not much music is completely unaccompanied. See, I am checking my list so as not to leave out anything. Now, last session, I suggested either imagining people being there while you're practicing or using something like one of my assistants to really physically be there to help you focus. Vorige Session habe ich vorgeschlagen, sich vorzustellen, es gibt einen anderen Menschen im Raum, um zu helfen beim Fokussieren, oder so ein Assistent wie ich das benutze. Dies ist nicht hilfreich in jeder Situation und für jeden Menschen. This is not helpful for all people and in all situations. Allora, you need to find and train the ability to be on your island and a bomb could drop next to you without throwing you off what you are focused on in your music as well. Gegenseite von Menschen vorstellen ist die Fähigkeit zu finden, immer griffbereit zu haben, dass du es dir vorstellen kannst. Es existiert niemand sonst als nur du alleine. I am very fortunate in that I was trained as a child, unknowingly, completely innocently, by having grown up on a farm where the neighbors, were very far away, so even seeing human beings was rare. So it's very easy for me to imagine, even in the middle of a loud crowd, there's nothing around me. So this is something that everybody must find their own way. Obviously, one can start by closing your eyes. Also, I've already talked about getting rid of some of the senses while you are working. Closing the eyes, and just while you're breathing, closing your ears to try and find this focus that you will be able to keep on working and working, even though the neighbors downstairs have a party going. Man braucht auch im Leben diese Fähigkeit zu haben, als Musiker sozusagen wegzuhören von was immer einen passiert. Eine Möglichkeit, dies zu trainieren, damit es immer griffbereit ist, ist einfach beim Arbeiten und Trainieren, wenn das zu laut wird, die Augen zuzumachen, damit du auf deine Schiene weiterarbeiten kannst. And now about carrying on working. We all have this little devil on our shoulder that goes, hey, there's so much more fun things to do. I'd rather go bake something or plant something new in my garden. This is the opportunity, I would say, that we all need to learn patience with ourselves. Wir sollen alle Geduld mit uns selber lernen. Und als Mensch natürlich ist es immer leichter, wenn da eine Belohnung an der anderen Seite ist. It's always easier to be patient in learning situations if there's a little reward at the other side of what we think of as hard work. Now, there are many possibilities, so I wrote down so I can share a couple with you. The fondest memory I have of reward after I have worked is, I admit openly that as a child, I didn't used to practice enough between my piano lessons, so my darling, patient piano teacher, British lady, made me practice in sessions, in lessons, without ever raising her voice. Meine erste Lehrerin hat mich entspannt dazu gezwungen, während der Unterricht zu üben. Sie hat mich sozusagen reingelegt, um zu üben. And always after these lessons, there would be not a big spread, but her favorite tea and 2 biscuits. Immer nachher die kleine Belohnung ohne groß Taritara, gute Tasse Tee und 2 Kekse. And also what I learned from this lady is, if you're really serious about working and carrying on working, it's mostly more efficient not to raise your voice. Do not scream around, rather keep the energy of screaming around for investing into the learning process. Now, if you have friends who are also trying to study, the helpful thing to do is to have a buddy system. Very simple. You say, you go into your practice room, you find somewhere you're allowed to practice, and try with shorter periods of time. I think 35 minutes is always more realistic, or even 25. And say to your study buddy, we work for 25 minutes now, and then don't call me. Send me a pretty emoji to say that you have done the 25 minutes, and then we decide if we work more. Studierbuddy zu haben, ganz einfach, findet jemand, damit man gleichzeitig anfängt zu üben. Dann sagt man einander, bitte nach 25 oder 35 Minuten mir ein Emoji schicken, um zu bestätigen, dass du brav gearbeitet hast. Und dann entscheiden wir uns, wie es weitergeht. Basically, these methods are all to fool your brain into thinking, I haven't worked that much, and also you are not working alone, which is a big problem for musicians. Not really problem. It is like a way of life. It is a way of life that you get used to, your own company while studying like mad. If you need it, get a study buddy to help you. And the rewards, I even made a list of possible rewards, legal rewards. If you keep on eating something as a reward, you will have the corona waste very quickly. Nicht immer nur was essen als Belohnung. Es gibt zum Beispiel, man könnte sich eine Episode von seiner Lieblingsfernsehserie anschauen. What one episode of your favorite TV show, or read one chapter of your favorite books. Already last session I dealt with studying in the Lego system, which is also the study buddy thing. Small installments, small portions that once you put them together will make the bigger whole. The one subject I have not touched upon, which might be helpful for you as well in finding healthy, stable studying moments, is addiction. Eine Methode oder eine Fähigkeit, die wir alle auf Lager haben, die man auch für Studieren benutzen könnte, ist die Möglichkeit, eine Sucht zu entwickeln. Now, I'm not talking about drugs. Practicing is legal. You don't have to have a doctor's prescription to practice. You can practice too much, but it's also, you have friends, I hope, and professionals who will make sure you don't. So, this natural inclination that we all have to get addicted to cigarettes, alcohol, a specific kind of brownie. Instead of just doing the bad things with it, I suggest consciously channeling it into your studying methods. Ohne zu kompliziert zu werden, bitte, Vorschlag, versuch mal ganz bewusst die Suchttendenzen, die sowieso umsonst in jedem Menschen zur Verfügung sind, zu investieren in deine persönliche Studienmethoden. This would mean, practically speaking, that instead of going, ugh, I have to learn the song, you have to find the way of looking at it as if it is something that you're not really allowed to do. Besser sich vorzustellen, anstatt ich muss das lernen, das ist etwas, was man fast als verbotene Frucht dran geht und dann sich aneignet. All these suggestions I am giving you are basically different approaches to the same main course. Oh, and there, see, good thing I have a little list. Yet again, saying that you found your addiction and you've worked very hard for 2 hours and you know, I have to take a break now, and have your list of what are my rewards for today. There's a website, I think I better write it in the comments as well, especially for ladies, called Go Feminine. It's in German, French, English, Italian, and there you can find articles, look at your horoscope, whatever you want to do, if you don't have a real magazine at home. Noch eine Belohnungsmöglichkeit, ist eine tolle Website, die ich nachher in den Kommentaren euch auch vorschlagen werde. Specifically today, there's a whole page of practicing when you are a parent. Wie übt man und studiert man, wenn man ein Elternteil ist? By the very nature of singing, it is very likely that many singers will have children, and nowadays most people raise their own children. If you're fortunate, you have somebody like a nanny or somebody who does regular babysitting. But for all parents, I would suggest incorporating your child into your practicing routine as early as possible. Für alle Eltern mein Vorschlag, bitte so früh wie möglich die Kinder angewöhnen, dass es keine Strafe ist, wenn Mutti und Vati üben muss, dass es Alltag ist, dass es passieren muss. My baby is by now 32 years old, and I suggest to you what worked with him, and also while he was small, I'd made the same suggestions to other children, to other colleagues with small children, and it seems to work better for most children if they are somehow part of the procedure of learning. Allora, so I wrote down here, music and studying, there are rules. And at some stage in the life of your child, he or she will have to learn the rules. Musik und Studieren hat seine Vorschriften, und auch jedes Kind muss irgendwann im Leben lernen, einige Gesetze zu respektieren. nicht morgen und so weiter. And the opportunity you have as a musician studying with your child right there is fabulous, because the child can learn it at home and will not have the feeling later that this authority is being enforced upon him. Now, practically speaking, children won't like you trying to find a top C every day, so they are the most fabulous head cancelling, love it. That's illegal. Noise cancelling headphones. Die Kopfhörer, damit das Kind dich überhaupt nicht mehr hört und wenn überhaupt was, dann nur seine eigene Lieblingssendung. If you get your child one of these headphones, they're not that expensive anymore, it will also help your child to learn to respect his ears, and also the choice that you give your child every time. There are the headphones, you can listen to your own stuff, or if you're really crazy, you can listen to your own music, open one ear and listen to me. Diese Möglichkeit, deinem Kind zu Hause diese Option zu geben, zu lernen, ich kann meine eigene Musik hören oder ich kann es wegnehmen und dann höre ich, wie Vati oder Mutti übt oder so halbe höre meine Musik und was Mutti macht. It will incorporate your child into your career more easily. Obviously, there might be a couple of screaming matches. That is normal. The way to deal with screaming matches, please remain professional with your child. If your child does start to scream when he takes a breath, remind it to please support the sound before it screams again, explaining to the child how bad it is for his voice if he screams like that. Ganz schlicht und ergriffen, wenn das Kind mal schreit, wenn es atmet, versuch ruhig und leise zu erklären, wie schlecht das ist zu schreien, ohne nach dem Atmen gut zu stützen und einfach entspannt erklären, wie schlecht das für die Stimme ist. Da kann man anschließend ein paar Übungen auch mit dem Kind machen. After having explained to the child, do a couple of exercises, screaming exercises with children. Also, if you have children, fabulous, because if they're very small, you can learn about natural breathing from them very easily. And what I found important was my son in the room with me when I had to practice. If he looked unhappy, I would always say to him, honestly, schau mal, I have to practice so that I can buy us food and toys. Dem Kind ehrlich sagen, ich muss üben, damit wir Essen und Spielzeug kaufen können. Obviously, this kind of statement you adjust as your child gets older. And this list is fabulous. Talking about rehearsing and building stamina. When you get tired, obviously I've suggested many exercises, especially if you're just working one specific group of muscles. There are exercises you can do without your toys, like the basic yes, no, maybe exercises, jump, 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 touch the roof, jump, 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 touch the roof. But I have this little massage bug that I thought one should show you. They are now terribly cheap. Mine, I can brag, is already 12 years old. See these little paws it has. If you put those on the back of your neck, imagine you're an animal and your mother is going to pick you up. You're a cat. Your mother is going to pick you up there. If you put these little paws, vibrating paws, on all those spots where the mother cat would beat you up, that's normally the fastest way to an Auswahl. Der Grund, warum ich euch dieses Spielzeug zeige, so als einfaches Massagegerät, ist auch ganz leicht, braucht nur 2 normale Batterien. Es sitzt bei der Massage genau an dem Punkt, wo wir alle zuerst verspannen. And these points, if they are knotted, oh baby, you will have problems through the rest of your body. Some people get rid of their migraines with this massage bug. The other prop is not a prop. It's a very ugly shoe. Love that sound. With, let me show you. This is not a torture shoe. This is to get all the reflexology points in your foot. So, if you're practicing and you start getting tired, these are not so expensive anymore. You can find them on Amazon. I really need some money from Amazon for everything I tell you about. You stand on this, even 5 minutes on this will really get the energy flowing right through the body. Enough props. I'm a good girl. I told you about my props. And while we are practicing and studying, it is very important, especially when you start getting tired, to train your dynamic flexibility. All music, I have not forgotten about the legato, has direction. Even if there is a fermata, even in complete silence, there is the tension of what happened before and what will happen afterwards. So while you are practicing to make it visible in your music, I like using a system of arrows, an arrow up and an arrow down. Ich schlage vor, es sichtbar zu machen, dass man auch dynamisch, flexibel zu bleiben hat. Einfach direkt in den Noten schreiben, ein Pfeil nach oben, 4 Laute, dass man über längere Zeit das sehen kann. Also to help you not to work like a dumb metronome, like there's a little accelerando in the music. Make yourself little arrows. So the arrows are the one I wanted to share with you. The other method to find energy very quickly while you're practicing, die andere Methode, neue Energie zu finden, während man übt, is to harness the simple energy, the very basic energy of being scared. Einfach Angst einsetzen. Easy for me. I am kind of scared of spiders. So for me, if I find I am flaking out, I can really imagine that I see a spider moving in that corner of the room and I will have fresh energy. Die natürliche Angst einfach benutzen. Ich habe Spinnenangst. Bei mir ganz leicht, ich kann mir jetzt vorstellen, da spaziert jetzt eine Spinne auf dem iPad und schon habe ich die Energie, um weiter üben zu können. Now to consolidate everything that I have offered to you today, I have chosen as a piano solo the intermezzo from I Pagliacci, auf gut Deutsch Baiazzo. This opera will actually be with us as how life could be as a performer until the day we die. It's like reading about Little Red Riding Hood. Es ist wie Rotkäppchen für Musiker und Bühnenleiter. The Baiazzo story tells the story of what happens to a troupe of people traveling around and doing their art. So I want to play this intermezzo because, see, I made a list again to make sure that I don't forget anything. The energies that I found in this is you will have the suffering, the hope, the disappointment and the sadness. Auf gut Deutsch, das Leiden, die Hoffnung, alle Enttäuschungen, Trauer. And this piano solo, I would say, is also a way of making audible the ups and downs of studying. The intermezzo, of course, by Monsieur Leoncavallo. I wish you all happy, fruitful studying. Fun thing about working at home, I can now go back into the garden and play with my plants. Till next week, hoyoto ho!